Am I? Oh, hello, everybody. Hello. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. It is me, Sheraton. I'm back. Oh, not that I was really away, because I think the last broadcast was Friday, wasn't it? Yeah. So anyway, please excuse me. I am just setting everything up. And instead of me doing my usual thing, where I'm about 5 or 10 minutes late, so let's not talk about the other times when I was a little bit later. Mm. But anyway, yes, so I'm here. And we are here for a Monday night show. I'm just trying to work out what decks I'm going to use today. So I'm going to use my usual energy readings, my Caroline Miss cards. And I'm definitely going to be using the Game of Thrones tarot today as well. Because politician, a little bit fishy, warrants it. I think because I'm feeling rather I think the term nowadays is salty. Maybe not quite salty. Seasoned. I'm feeling rather seasoned. So today I will be using the Rebel deck, the Rebel Oracle. I'm in two minds. Part of me wants to go for the Black Mirror, and the other part of me says, no, don't do that. Go with the Sacred Destiny. And I'm going to do both. Ah, there you go. See? There. Okay. Right. So here I am doing my thing. Let me just organize myself and I will be right back. I'm going to run. Well, run. Maybe not exactly run. I'm going to walk around the table to go and find the mirror, the dark mirror deck. So today's reading is going to be on the ex-chancellor, current minister without portfolio in the cabinet, in Rishi Sunak's cabinet, and it's a Mr. Nadhim Zahawi. As if I don't know who Nadhim Zahawi is. Like I can't say his name. Excuse me. What's wrong with me? Anyway, so yeah, today we're going to be having a look at him. As the great Miss Tracy Brown says, please check out her channel, Tracy Brown Live. Fantastic reader. She's been reading for many years. She's my personal mentor. And I mean, she's a delight. She's a delight. She's fun, irreverent, and gets a bit salty from time to time. And always interesting. Never dull. Never dull. Ever. And she does a lot of celebrity readings, and she also does a few political ones here and there, mostly on the US because that's where she resides and that's where she's from. But yes, she's fantastic. Please, if you haven't already checked her out, I recommend her as one to check out. And I have to say, when it comes to accuracy, when it comes to accuracy, Miss Tracy Brown is in a league of very few, from what I've seen, readers that accuracy. Yeah, she's in like the top 5, and I've watched quite a few, but yeah, she doesn't only give accuracy, she gives detail. She gives great detail. So please check her out. Now, let me just go and get my Dark Mirror Oracle deck because it's one I don't normally often have around. It's not an Oracle deck I tend to use very much, But I think that considering we're talking about tax avoidance, this is what we're talking about today, tax avoidance. And there will be no criminal charges levied against Mr. Zahawi because he, one, did not break the law, and two, reached an agreement with Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs. But so there won't be, it won't be that kind of thing. But yes, I think that it does warrant the Dark Mirror Oracle. I think we're about to see the end of Mr. Zahawi's political career. So, and speaking of the end of careers, Cruella Braverman, sorry, Cruella Braverman, she, her time is coming fast. Her time is coming very fast. I'm not sure if I'm going to have a look at it in today's reading, depending on how much time we have. But she definitely warrants another look. Not because the energy's necessarily changed, but the situations have shifted. They've shifted from bad to badder. It's weekly, it's becoming more and more extreme. I don't know if I mentioned, no, I probably didn't. Last week, Cruella had a run in with a Holocaust survivor who asked her to please stop using the word invasion in regards to migrants, people seeking asylum and crossing the English Channel. She felt that she was perfectly it was perfectly reasonable for her to defend her use of words like invasion and swarm and stuff like that in regards to these people seeking asylum in this country, to a Holocaust survivor who explained that that's the way the Nazis spoke about Jewish people before they exterminated them. So she was telling her, this old lady, this Holocaust survivor, that everything she said is perfectly fine and it's perfectly justified for her to say that. To me, that was like a boom. I don't know. It was like another nail going bang in her coffin. And I don't know whether it's fair to say I saw that as the end of the beginning or the beginning of the end. But I felt as if, yeah, you're doing too much. I felt as if when I looked at her, like, girl, you are doing too much. This is about to blow up in your face. Maybe not right now, but this is a first step, the first rung on the ladder to this whole thing blowing up in your face. Because remember, I did that reading on her and I said that disaster was coming for her and it was coming soon. The latest situation with Cruella is that children are being trafficked. The unaccompanied children who are crossing the channel are being grabbed up by human traffickers outside their hotel. So these children aren't being supervised or properly taken care of. They're being grabbed up off the street and bundled into vans. There's over 200 out of 600 children in the past few months have gone missing. I actually have the newspaper article. All these children have gone missing, and legally speaking, they're the responsibility of the Home Office. This is in the Metro. Oh yeah, Boris has got another sleazy deal. Oh yes, gangs kidnap. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Gangs kidnap dozens of asylum-seeking children. Yeah. The latest figures confirm 222 have vanished without a trace, including 79 from one Brighton hotel. So these traffickers have just decided to just go to this hotel, and they just parked out there permanently picking up children. That's 79 children. Children are literally being picked up from outside the building, disappearing and not being found. 10% of the youngsters disappear each week from a hotel hide in Kent. These are children. They're just being grabbed. They're literally just being grabbed. Now, apparently it looks as if the Home Office said local authorities have a statutory duty to protect all children, and robust safeguarding procedures are in place. Well, if robust safeguarding procedures are in place, then how can you pick up a child who is a foreigner, doesn't speak the language, in a foreign city, in a foreign town, in a foreign country, and just grab them up off the street and take them? And take them and do what with them? I don't care what your political point of view is. I don't care if you feel that these people crossing the channel are illegal, even though they're actually not, because they're requesting asylum. We are talking about children, and I don't give a shit about the race of the kids. They are children. And as far as I'm concerned, I do not think that it is perfectly acceptable or appropriate to have children just wandering around with no supervision in a country where they don't speak the language, and there's no one keeping an eye on them. Who's looking after these children? Who's taking care of them? Who's making sure they eat? Who's making sure they bathe? Who's taking care of these kids? Nobody. It seems as if these children are being taken to these hotels, which really is not an appropriate place to have these kids anyway, and they're just being dumped there and forgotten about. And then every week, from some places, 10% of them are going missing. Yeah, every week, 10% of them are going missing from a hotel in Hythe. And 79 children have gone missing from one location in Brighton. 79 children never to be seen, and they're not seen again. Nobody knows what happened to them. I don't have words for that. I actually I don't, and I can't even get into this because I am frightened of what I will see. I am frightened of what I will pick up. I'm actually frightened. There's certain things that I will not read on because I will not only I it's not so much sometimes I see things, but I feel things, or I can pick things up and then it will stay in my mind, and it's just too awful. It's too awful. I remember a few years ago when Trump was president. Oh, good evening, Brett. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. I remember a few years ago when Trump was president, and we started to see that there were not just migrants on the border, but that they had children in cages with space blankets at the border. And I considered that. I watched it, I saw it. And when I felt, it wasn't that I was really looking as such, but I started getting, as I'm looking at the pictures and everything that's happening, I started picking up on things. And I realized I knew some of what was happening. I knew about, and it hasn't all come out yet, but it's going to. I knew about the sexual abuse of those kids. I knew about the trafficking. Some of those kids were taken and they will never be seen again. I knew about the sexual abuse of the women. I knew about the, I don't want to call it, well, what's the word? What's the word to say? Not experiments, the mutilations. The mutilations that were taking place in those places. Those messages, they came to me. And I knew about it before it was reported on, before the information started coming out. I knew about it and I picked up on it. And I got myself into such a state. It was just, I was in such a state. And now with this story, I understand that I have to be really careful because I will end up getting myself into a state. And it's one thing to know, but it's another thing to feel and understand on a deeper level. And when you can't do anything about that, when you can't take action to make things better, it's incredibly, it's debilitating, it's frustrating, it's angry, and you just have this thing inside you and it really hurts because you're actually feeling what other people are feeling. Not obviously nowhere near as immediate, but you're picking up on the emotions of other people. So I will say this to you. There are things I will read on and there are things I will not read on. And this particular story, I will not read on it because I can't. I actually can't. But don't worry, today we're going to be reading on Zippy. As one YouTuber, I really love watching him. He's called By Any Means Necessary. As he likes to call him, Pinhead Zippy, and that is Nadhim Zahawi. I think I showed you guys a picture of Zippy the other day. Anyway, I'm going to read on that guy and I will give you the full deets. But let me just go and get the oracle very quickly. I think this might be a longish one. I'm not sure. Let's see. Oops. Oh dear. Oh. Righty. I'm still here. I haven't disappeared on you. And if I did, I would go poof. Well, right. Yes, Pinhead Zippy Zahawi. All right. Let's see what he's going on with. I don't think I need that today, actually. I should be all right. I think I should be all right. All right, then. Yes. Let's see what Zippy's been up to. Now, Mr. Zahawi, as I said, cabinet minister. He was, let's see, what was he doing in Boris's cabinet? We'll have a look, see. I'll do some Google on him. Right. Now you're probably wondering, why am I lighting a red candle? I do from time to time. It helps to cleanse the cards. Right. Now, let me read you the article. Yes. Mr. Zahawi. He's been a very, very naughty boy. Now, he was the ex-chancellor. So he became chancellor after Rishi Sunak decided, I've had enough, I'm out of here. So after he gave his resignation, Nadhim Zahawi went to Johnson and says, you know what? I could resign too. I could leave. And if I leave, then your government really is sunk. It's absolutely sunk. And, you know, you will have to resign. But if I stay, I'll only stay if you make me the chancellor. And that's basically the guy, the secretary of the treasury, right? That's what the chancellor is. It's the second most powerful position in the government, next to the prime minister. So, yeah, so it's the second most powerful one. Nadhim has his deal with Boris, and Boris says, yeah, sure, you can be my chancellor, no problem. And off Nadhim goes, and he goes to the treasury, the office of the treasury, which also deals with tax affairs, much like in America. And he goes there, and it just so happens that while he's there, he has an issue. He's under investigation for his taxes. What a coincidence, right? Now, apparently, the Prime Minister, who was Boris Johnson at the time, was told that this was not a very good idea, that Mr. Zahawi was Chancellor, because there was a conflict of interest. But Boris wants what Boris wants, and Boris generally, for the most part, tends to get what he wants. So he was like, I don't care, I want him. And that was that. So then, Mr. Zahawi, who has a current investigation on himself by the same department that he's the head of, he then makes some kind of deal with them, which results in him paying 3.7 million in back taxes, money that he owed the Treasury. And I don't have to say allegedly, because that's technically the money he owed the Treasury. But not only that, apparently, because something was not done in the correct manner, and I don't know exactly what that something was, filing or something like along those lines, he had to pay a penalty. A penalty, a fine. When is a fine not a fine but a penalty, vice versa? I mean, I personally think they're the same thing. However, they might not be. I don't know. But yes, he had to pay a fine or penalty or something. And it's supposed to be to penalize you. And that fine was for at least, because we don't know 100% and for sure, but for at least 1.2, 1.3 million pounds. Because the penalty tends to be, about 30% or a third or something along those lines of what you actually were supposed to pay. So he ends up with a wonderful bill of 5 million plus pounds to pay Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, the Inland Revenue. Oh, that looks like it wants to come out. So let's have a look and see, what does the future hold for Mr. Zahawi? Is he about to be fired? Is his political career over? Is it all over now? Let's have a look, see. I don't know why I'm doing the cards like this, but I'm just going with it. Yes, that's the one. Yep, I want that one, I think. And that one. And let's have a look, see. Yep. Right, how many cards have I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've got 3 more cards to pull. Okay. 8, 9. This one. 10. Okay, so let's have a look and see what is going on with Mr. Zahawi. Okay, what is the energy surrounding him? Let's have a look, see. Mother, Father, God, ancestors and spirit guides, please give me guidance in the answer of this question. Please give me guidance and show me what you would like for me to see, and tell me what you would like for me to say. It would be most appreciated. In Jesus' name I pray, the divine emanation. Amen, amen, amen. Right. Oh. First up, we have advocate. shadow attribute. I'm going to read this upside down. In You can't make this up. Embracing negative causes or committing to causes for personal gain. I mean, there's tax avoidance and tax evasion. I need to clarify this. Tax avoidance is illegal and it goes against the letter of the law. Actually, no, that's tax. Yes, tax evasion is illegal and it's defined by going against the letter of the law. Tax avoidance is legal, but it goes against the moral of the law. So, this was a case of tax avoidance, which means that you can't be prosecuted for it. There are things you can do and loopholes, etc., etc. Now, if we're talking about tax avoidance, is that not a negative cause? Because right, shouldn't everyone pay their taxes so we can have public services and roads and, you know, an economy that works for, anyway, whatever. So I'm not even going to go into that because our economy's not really working. But yes, embraces negative causes or committing to causes for personal gain. Tax avoidance. Something to do with lawyer as well. Okay, second card up, I have child wounded. Okay, the light. Okay, right. Awakens compassion and desire to serve other wounded children, opens the learning path of forgiveness. I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with opens the path of forgiveness. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm looking at the shadow attribute. It says blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds, resists moving on through forgiveness. Okay, now the reason why I had my aha moment is because there's been a lot made of the fact that Nadhim Zahawi came to this country as an asylum seeker. You know those people coming across on the boats that everybody's calling an invasion and swarms and all the rest of it? When he was a young man, Mr. Zahawi could quite probably have been on one of those boats. He came to this country when he was 10 years old, him and I think his father, fleeing Iraq under Saddam Hussein. They ran for their lives and they came here, and through time and hard work, and let's not play, the man worked hard. He worked very hard. He worked very hard and he made a success of his life and he created a very well respected business called YouGov. And he became a multi-millionaire. I mean, he's worth about 100 million. However, in this case, it's come up child wounded. And much has been made of the fact that he came to this country as a child wounded. Last card I have, victim. So he's got this feeling of feeling victimized. The light attribute here is it prevents you from letting yourself be victimized or victimizing others. The shadow is playing the victim for positive feedback in the form of pity, inability to maintain personal boundaries. I think this is more him playing the victim, and it does tie in very well with the child wounded, because even though tax evasion is not illegal, and but it does go against the spirit of the law, um he somehow ends up playing the victim anyway. This is an opportunity for him to shut his mouth and listen. In fact, that's pretty much what he's been doing. He hasn't had any interviews well, not recently, not since everything blew up. Not since everything blew up. Possibly he doesn't want to be cross-examined by a journalist because he knows he'll make the situation worse. He's asking us to consider his start and to squeeze out some tears, to squeeze out some sympathy. But we're in a cost of living crisis where everyone's being squeezed. And if you have to pay back £3.7 million in taxes to Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, then most people will not be able to squeeze any pity out for you, because many people can barely afford to heat their homes right now. This is a choice. I think, and it comes under wounded. I think in this instance, he's been asked to make a choice. Face reality or live in la la land. Choose bravely. The choice he's been asked to make. The choice he's been asked to make is to resign, give an interview, be honest, resign with some dignity, or allow things to continue and continue and continue, and the speculation to continue and continue and continue, and then be pushed out by Rishi. And it won't come across that he's been pushed out. It won't come to the public that he's been fired. He will just come out and say, I resign because my personal life has resulted in far too much media attention, and it's drawing away focus from the things that we're trying to achieve with this government and the various agendas and the good we're trying to do for the country. That's a load of bull. That's bullshit. If that's what he comes out and says, that's bullshit. If that's what he comes out and says, it means he was fired. Whereas, if he comes out and says something along the lines of, I made a mistake when I sold my company. I thought that it would not be liable for tax in the same way, but it was, even though I'd set up the trust for my dad to take care of my dad, because I'm quite wealthy already, so I felt that that's what it would do, but I was wrong. And I can understand at this moment in time why so many people are upset about it, because I know there are a lot of people struggling in this country. And I recognized the mistake I made, which is why I came to an agreement with the tax office, and I accepted the penalty. And, I realized that I've made some mistakes, and but I will, moving forward, I will do my very best to serve, all that kind of shit. If he comes out with something like that, then he's resigned, and he's done it in a dignified manner. And he may well actually go on to have, for however long it lasts, a career. He may well stay in politics for however long it lasts, maybe to the next general election or something like that. He may even have the ability to go and come back, but that will be covered in the Celtic Cross reading. I just saw the first card. Ah! Yeah. The Fool. All right. You know how when you're looking at tarot, the Fool is never the Fool, except when it is the Fool? I oh, crumbs. Oh dear. Okay. The Fool. Okay. It's crossed by the creative businessman. The guy who's got the ideas, he's popping, he's cracking, he's Mr. Creativity, he's Mr. Manifestation, he's making shit happen. He's the bomb. All right, so sorry, I have to laugh. That was funny. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. That cracks me up. That was funny. All right. Okay. All right. What do I see with this card? I see someone who's made some unwise decisions. He's gone down a not illuminated path, and it looks a bit rocky and uneven, and there's a very narrow ledge, and because he's already in the dark, he might end up falling over it. I see a guy, as I said, so there's the perilous path, taking the perilous path in an unwise way. And this is crossed by being ambitious, by leadership and ambition. And I want to say, yeah, you know what I'm going to call this card from now on? I'm going to call this card the Politician. I'm going to call this card the Politician. That's what I'm going to call this card. Yes, the politician. So you have the one who is large and in charge, ambitious, creative, charismatic. Um, yeah, I'm going to call him the politician, except he's a politician who's been most unwise. The base of the reading, we have loss. We have loss. Now, don't get me wrong, this guy's got like 100 mil in the bank already. And granted, he had to pay out like 5 to HMRC. But, so he's not broke. He's not likely to go broke. But this card is not just about loss, because the Five of Cups is more loss. This card is about loss of materials. So this is about his losing money. This is about him having to pay all that money out. And it's funny, it being a 5 of coins, if you consider each coin is worth £1,000,000. Each coin is worth £1,000,000, and he paid 5 million to HMRC. But there's another thing here as well. There's another thing here, and I think it's tied up with being blind and not hearing, not understanding the crisis he's in. He's blind to the fact that people are upset because there was a chancellor who was being investigated for tax evasion by the Department of the Chancellor. A clear conflict of interest brings in to disrepute cabinet ministers. It makes them look shady and corrupt. What am I seeing when I look at this 5 of coins, apart from the 5 million he had to shell out? I'm seeing isolation. I'm seeing a blindness to the optics, how the public see it. And I'm seeing someone being pushed into isolation. This man will not keep his job. Anyway, I mean, that's a given. But will he keep some semblance of a career? I'm thinking no, because he's blind to the optics. I do not think that he will take the appropriate steps that would save his career. But maybe I'm wrong. The Tower. Disaster has struck. But you know what's funny? What's funny is that this card is in the past position. And when I pulled it out, it was upside down. Maybe he's not quite so blind to the optics, eh? Ooh, a 4 of Cups. The 4 of Cups. So we're talking here about emotions. I always think of the 4 of Cups as the offer that you don't want. But this is about holding on. Holding on. And none of these cups have been spilled, so the emotion's not overflowing. Okay. Yes. So the disaster striking has already happened. That's in the past. He will be given an opportunity to salvage the situation. He will be given an opportunity to salvage the situation. But it doesn't look the way he wants it to look. And this is what goes back into the blindness. He's blind to the realization and the understanding of exactly where he is and what the optics of the situation and where it actually is. He's blind to that. And because he's blind to that, he can't see the benefit of just coming clean and saying, you know what, I made a terrible mistake and I'm really sorry for that. And going forward, I will do whatever. He can't see that that's actually a great option for him. Oh no. Oh no, you didn't. Oh no, you didn't. Okay. Okay. In the immediate future, we have restriction, we have oppression, we have somebody who is a prisoner of their own making. He's not going to make the situation better. He going to make it worse for himself. The 10 of coins. This is in his mind. In his mind is on his money and his money is on his mind. And he's thinking about legacy. He's not just thinking about material legacy. He's also thinking about the career he built and the legacy of his career. But his legacy is impoverished. Why do I say that? Because I'm doing the Celtic cross, and at the base of the reading, the foundation is poverty. His legacy is impoverished. Any thing to say, oh, you know, he was this, and yeah, he in his mind, he's like, he's aware of the damage. He's aware of the damage. In his mind, I think he recognizes that his career is at an end. But he will move on. He will move on. He will move on. He will move on. And be looking for opportunities overseas. I think his political career is over. I mean, in his mind's eye, it's over. So maybe he's going to do a Matt Hancock. I don't think he's actually going to go into the jungle and start eating kangaroo testicles or anything that undignified. But he's going to start looking for opportunities outside of what he's currently doing, outside of politics. He knows that that bridge is kind of burnt, pretty much burnt, because he's not willing to accept the offer, the opportunity. He's not willing to accept the opportunity there for him so he could go and come back or anything. He's not willing to do that. I would say that I think that this one points to me and tells me he's looking abroad. He's looking abroad and he's looking at opportunities outside of the UK. Hopes and fears. He hopes to be lucky. He hopes to be lucky. He hopes that he can spin the wheel and make magic happen in another industry, in another sphere. He hopes that he can make the magic happen. That's what he's hoping for. He's hoping to make his next 100 million, of course. Maybe he'll create a new company that will also be, a lot. I would say that the final card I have here is the Seven of Coins. I feel like he's making an assessment. He's looking over what he has. Finally, at some point, he's trying to make a decision. Looking at what he has, the fruits of his labors, and he's also considering what other avenues are out there. I would like to say, I mean, I'm looking at this. Do I think he will stay in politics? Not only do I think that he's going to leave um, his position in cabinet, I don't even think he's going to stay in politics. I think he'll probably end up doing something with some kind of think tank. I think that he's going to end up working on some sort of thing abroad. Yeah, I can see him going into Europe to work for some multinational conglomerate or something, or even setting something up himself. He's a chancer. He likes taking chances. Yeah, he likes taking chances, but he's assessing the fruits of his labor. And he's trying to work out, he recognizes that he can't stay in politics, or he's not willing to do what it takes to stay in politics. I don't see him staying. I just don't. Let me have a look and see what else I see. What else do I see here? All right. Somebody coming to the rescue. Okay. All right. So nostalgia. All right. I think he's going to have support. There's going to be someone who really likes him who's going to support him. There's going to be some bad news. He's going to be wishing that things were different. Yes, definitely a think tank. He'll be holding on to his monies, but I would say with this card that it's more. It's not so. I mean, this he's always going to hold on to his money, but it's more. It's more than that. It's more than him holding on to his money. It's more than him holding on to materials. It's it's yeah. Mm. Yeah, I was right. holding on to his coins. So he's going to be making decisions that are financially astute. I mean, there's so many. He will be drawing up contracts with people, and people that he's worked with in the past. Women he's worked with in the past. Oh, she's tied to the think tank. I know who this is. I know who this is. He's going to be doing something with her. I'd say that yeah. Okay. So a lot of the people that he's been in contact with in the party are the people that he will be in contact with during, because he's made a lot of friends and colleagues and whatever. Yeah, he's going to be doing something with some of them. He's going to be joining the club of the people who didn't make it in politics. Call me sarcastic if you wish to. Right, okay. Almost done. Now let's have a look see, and let's have a look at the outcome. Now I did draw the Dark Mirror Oracle because, you know, wanted to see what I could see. So I drew this Oracle deck today. I felt that this was the one to use. All right, so what is the outcome for Nadhim Zahawi? What is the outcome for Nadhim Zahawi? What can you tell me about the outcome for Nadhim Zahawi? Will he get to keep his job? Will he not get to keep his job? Will he move on to bigger and better things? Or is he going to feel forever broken and lost by this terrible boo-boo? Let's have a look, see. I think I'm going to go for... Nope, that ain't the one. That ain't the one. All right, then. I'm going to go for that one there. All right. Okay. Let's have a look, see. Oh, this is interesting. The temple of my body. She looks afraid, and her hands are claw-like. Let's have a look and see what it says on the the thingy-bob, my phone. Let's have a look, see. Right. Okay. The temple of my body. I feel I am not worth enough. Ah, dear. This card is about the darkness in the body. Culture can make us take distance from what is our corporality, right? Okay, this card is about demonizing aspects of survival, demonizing money, demonizing food, demonizing sex, and yet at the same time cheapening ourselves, sacrificing ourselves, and being ashamed, not so much for the sacrifices, but for the covetous nature that we have in regards to survival. How much is your integrity worth? That's what this card is asking. How much is the price of your integrity? That's what the card is about. So there's that one. I'm going to draw one more card because that one was very cryptic and maybe not quite appropriate for this reading. But I think the question, the heart of the card really was about integrity. How much is your integrity worth? Okay. One card, one card, one card. Really? I don't think so. I'm going to go for this one. This one here. Okay. Community. Community. Okay. Okay. All right. The ancient forest. The towering ancient trees in a forest look distinct from each other. Okay. The roots act like a kind of communication system throughout the community of trees. Instantaneous messages travel through this underground system. Nutrients can travel on this network. Trees at one side of the forest can supply the nourishment required on the other side of the forest. Danger at one end of the network is communicated to the far end of the intertwined roots. The sacred landscape wants you to know support is all around you, even if you are not consciously aware of it. Give encouragement to others. Okay, so this is about community. In avoiding his taxes, he was stepping away from the community. Oh, hello, Lisa. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Yeah, in avoiding his taxes, he was stepping back from the community. He was saying, in a sense, or should I say, evading. No, avoiding, not evading. I get confused. But yes, in avoiding it, he was saying, forget about the community. This is about me. This is my money, and I don't want to give none of it to the tax man. So he was basically saying, F you to the tax office, F you to the country and the community and all the other people in it, because he worked, he earned the money, he built the business, he sold the business. He felt that he did all of that on his own with support from nothing and no one. He did not understand that as much as he has contributed and he has done, and this is really for most of these incredibly rich people, as much as you have contributed and you have done and you have generated capital and you have built things through your ingenuity, through your ability to talk to people and connect with others, you did none of it on your own. You think that it was all you, but it really wasn't. If you hadn't met with the right people at the right time, where would you be now? And even if you want to say, I did this and I created that, that's great. But you have employees. How do those employees get an education? They have to go to school. Now, if their parents don't have the money to send them to a private school, it means that they have to go to a publicly funded school. They have to go to your ordinary, secondary, or comprehensive school. And granted, it's down to them, as well as if their circumstances are great, to make something of their lives and get their qualifications and train to do various things, right? So it's down to them as individuals. But the state made the state pays for that school that your employees go to. The state pays for that school. How does the state pay for that school? The state pays through taxes. So your employees are born, granted, maybe they could have been born at home. Maybe some of them would even survive if we didn't have a healthcare system, but we do. So they were born in a hospital. When they were kids and they got sick, they were treated by the NHS. The state pays for that. Taxes pay for that. When they grew up, as I said, they went to school, the state paid for that. When they are on their way to work, and maybe they're taking public transport, maybe they're taking private transport. Regardless, the roads that they drive on, the state pays for those roads. There might be a public-private partnership, but generally it comes down to the state. When your employees are sick and they can't come into work and they need treatment, where did the treatment come from? The NHS. The state pays for that. So there's all these things that the state pay for. Granted, you created this company, but all your employees are able to do their work due to their access to public services. And how are public services paid for? They're paid by taxpayers' money. So you think it's all you, but it's not. Because if you weren't supported by the state, you would find it hard to make money. And a lot of rich people are only now waking up to the fact that having decent public services, paying your taxes, leads to decent public services. And decent public services leads to a healthy GDP. It leads to generating more money as a nation, not less. A lot of rich people are waking up to that fact. Unfortunately, it would seem that Mr. Zahawi wasn't one of them. But anyway, that's just like my opinion, man. And, you know, maybe I'm wrong. You never know. I'm only human, so it's perfectly plausible. But okay, before I go, let's have a look at the chat. Let's have a look, see. Do I not see any punishment? Well, Brett, I don't know about you, but personally, I think being fined 5 million, well, okay, having to pay out £5 million for a debt that was 3.7, and you're having to pay between 1.2 to 1.3, maybe more, as a penalty because you didn't pay the tax when you were supposed to in a timely manner. And I think the tax was probably only supposed to be maybe 2.7 originally. If you had paid it on time, it probably would have been about 2.7, but then it went up to 3.7 because it had to be backdated. And then on top of that, there was another 1.2 or 1.3 that was added on top as well as a penalty. So I think having to pay all those millions out, all those extra millions out in taxes, yeah, I think that's a punishment. Hello, Lisa. How are you? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for putting in for liking. The card was okay. The card was the temple of my body. And I linked this card as the price of integrity. And people feeling ashamed for needing the things to survive that they need, but at the same time willing to sacrifice their bodies for money or their integrity. Okay. Yeah, I do. That's how I feel about it. Oh right, yes. Pluto in Capricorn is coming, you know. I mean, along with Uranus in Taurus, where you have the upheaval of the old traditions by Uranus, you have Pluto in Capricorn. Capricorn is about organization, it's about government, as well as material things, but it's about structure and government. And Pluto is about endings. Does that mean that governments all over the planet are going to just go kaput? Of course not. But I think we're in a time, in an epoch of time, where we're seeing structures crumble under the weight of traditions that are meaningless because then we can't use them for the current climate. So there's that. But anyway, that's my opinion, my assessment of the situation. I'm sure you have your own. But I just want to say thank you very much for joining me tonight. And please like, please share, please subscribe. And yeah. And you know, whatever time you're watching this, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I will see you again on Friday, and I will try and add some more information to back up the reading on Friday. Friday is going to be more about the futures of British democracy, and I think it's going to be about the strikes bill. Is it going to be about the strikes bill? Can't remember. It might be about the strikes bill. Probably going to be about the strikes bill. So yeah, that one's going to be for Friday. And as for the one on Suella, if I have time, if I feel so inclined, if I think it's appropriate, no, because then I'll have to get into the whole issue with the kids, and I can't do that. Yeah. Let's watch this space and see what happens there. But yeah, thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. I really appreciate that. You know, I really appreciate that you took time out to join me this evening. I do. Right, I'm out of here. 1 hour and 20 minutes. And hungry I bust me shop. Me have to eat food. Me hungry. Me proper hungry now. Oh. Anyway, sorry. You see, I'm hangry, and that's when the patois just starts jumping out of my mouth. I'm hangry. All right, laters. I'm out. I'll see you Friday. Good night.